This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Monday, June 7th. It was smooth sailing as Barbados Today welcomed its first cruise ship, Celebrity Millennium, in about 15 months. The cruise liner set sail from Phillipsburg, St. Martin on a 7-night itinerary with Barbados as its first port of call. It's the first cruise ship where 95% of its passengers and crew are fully vaccinated. Tourism Minister Senator Lisa Cummins, who was on hand to welcome the special guests, stressed that Barbados must be prepared to welcome tourists back to the island. She said today's call follows more than a year of discussions, including key players working through the America's Cruise Task Force. Minister Cummins now wants the task force to adopt a new mandate, which must include creating more opportunities for cruise players.
We have to have an opportunity where Adrian and Mr. Eastman, both of you and your respective taxi associations and the various tour operators, have a meaningful opportunity to engage in carving out new niches and new businesses. We have to spread the pie and it has to be inclusive. But let us talk about what that means. There is not just advocacy. Advocacy is fine. Having conversations with partners is fine. Representation is fine. But we need meaningful business models.
Vice President of Destination Development at Royal Caribbean Group, Josh Carroll, said he's happy to be back in business.
Today is the first call to Barbados. It's actually the first cruise ship in the entire Western Hemisphere visiting any port. And that's historic. And it's also a testament to the trust, partnership. You know, in good partnerships, and I know some of my colleagues here will know, we don't always see eye to eye at every moment. But there's a sincere desire to find a way to get common ground, and ultimately, when you have a shared objective, you can find a way to get there, as we did.
Police are investigating the apparent drowning of an elderly British woman at Paynes Bay, St. James today. Barbados Today understands the incident occurred just after 1:30. The victim's neighbor and friend, who declined to give her name, said she had spoken to the elderly woman earlier today, and it was sad to later discover her body floating in the water. The body was retrieved by Coast Guard officers. Colleagues and loved ones of former acting police sergeant Newton Lewis quietly paid their last respects as they filed past his casket at the Police Sports Club this afternoon. Lewis, the chauffeur of Commissioner of Police Tyrone Griffith, was gunned down last month in Rosehill, St. Peter, as he responded to a robbery at a shop near his home.
I think this is a means of showing the police, look, members of the public are behind you. I think I should come and pay my last respect to him.
He will be laid to rest tomorrow following a service at the chapel of the Mount Pleasant Memorial Gardens, Pleasant Hall, St. Peter.
A military funeral will take place tomorrow at the Pleasant View Chapel, St. Peter. The roads, just a few things. The roads will be closed to traffic from 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. So if you have business to do in the area, please note that that entire area will be closed, will be sealed off to traffic as we prepare the parade to proceed to the chapel. The parade will fall in along Rosehill Road. That's the general area in which this incident occurred that caused him his life. And we will form up there and we will march to the chapel at the top of Ben Hill. The roadway will remain closed until such time where police officers at junctions see it possible to reopen. We will try to keep traffic flowing as much as possible, but we want to emphasize that you should use alternate roads around that time, on 12:30. One of the other things we want to say is that social distancing is still part of the protocol. So any person who is seeking to be there tomorrow, remember, we have limited numbers and there must be social distancing. We anticipate a large crowd. We know that all things taken into consideration that Mr. Newton lived in that area. We know from all the public support, and we must say thank you to them for the last 2-3 weeks, outpouring of support. And as you can see here, the numbers are starting to grow, just the viewing as well. And we want to make sure everything goes well tomorrow. So we're asking you to help us Let it go well. Social distancing, remember the restrictions and numbers as well.
Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic today welcomed close to $700,000 in equipment from the Chinese government to boost the island's healthcare system. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital is in line to receive equipment including 6 invasive ventilators, 10 blood oxygen saturation monitors, electrocardiograms, and 5 oxygen generators. Bostic said the generous donation will help in key areas.
This is very important for us as we continue to roll out the National Cardiology Project, which the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has embarked on, which would see the harmonization of efforts between private urgent care centers and public urgent care centers, including the ambulance services, both private and public, to be able to contribute to enhancing all services relating to cardiac arrest, in relation to strokes, with the aim of reducing mortality here in Barbados. And this is something that's very, very important to the government, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
It's the 9th donation from China to help the country fight the COVID-19 pandemic. China's ambassador to Barbados praised the government's effort to curb the spread of the virus and pledged that his government will continue to lend a helping hand, including the provision of vaccines.
I wish and truly believe that Barbados could win the battle against the pandemic and bring its economy and social life back to normal as soon as possible. China is willing to keep providing more assistance to the best of its capacity to Barbados, including donation of 30,000 doses and purchases of 50,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccines, experience shared and sharing on the fight against the coronavirus, remote treatment and cooperation, or traditional Chinese medicine.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back to Regional News. In Jamaica, the University Hospital of the West Indies is conducting a study to probe mental illness in citizens who have tested positive for COVID-19.
This is an issue we have been exploring over the past few months. In fact, a recovering COVID patient told me she's been having sleepless nights and has been getting counseling.
I couldn't turn the light off. I mean, like, I still hear them pulling the thing, talking my sleep. Even though sometimes I just find myself trembling. Sometimes I still have shortness of breath. Sometimes my heart still races. But I'm doing a little counseling now.
Experts say 1 in 3 persons who contract COVID-19 suffers from mental illness. Here's what consultant psychiatrist Dr. Winston Delahaye told me.
Within that, the primary presentations included anxiety at about 17%, major depressive disorder at about 14%. There's one Rome study in Italy where they found a 30% prevalence of post-traumatic stress disorder. In addition to this, though, I must point out what we call post-COVID psychosis. So this is where, just for simplicity, amongst other things, persons who otherwise had no history of mental illness, having had the COVID virus, whether inpatient or outpatient, now started having fears which could not be corroborated by their loved ones, hearing things, seeing things.
Now, this is why a local study is currently being done to get a true picture of the situation.
On the international front, U.S. regulators today approved a new drug to treat Alzheimer's disease. More in this report from Lisa Bernhard of Reuters Television.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Monday approved the first ever drug to address an underlying cause of Alzheimer's disease, an event both hailed as a medical breakthrough by millions of Americans eager for a cure and as a controversial risk by some experts concerned about the drug's mixed clinical trial results. Biogen's treatment aducanumab aims to remove sticky deposits of a protein called amyloid beta from the brains of patients in the early stages of Alzheimer's, which could help stave off memory loss and other ravages of the disease. The company said it has priced the drug to be sold as Aduhelm at $56,000 a year. But some medical experts said clinical trial results were inconsistent and that more proof of the drug's effectiveness was needed, with some trial patients experiencing potentially dangerous brain swelling. Dr. Ronald Peterson, an Alzheimer's disease expert at the Mayo Clinic, called the drug's approval, quote, a big day, adding, quote, but we can't overpromise. The FDA in a statement said Biogen will need to conduct another trial after its approval to verify Aduhelm's benefit, adding, quote, if the drug does not work as intended, we can take steps to remove it from the market. Biogen has estimated that around 1.5 million Americans would be eligible for the drug, which is given monthly by infusion. Biogen's shares soared over 50% Monday on the news.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.